once again, we are back for episode 101 of the DG podcast. We are, we survived our centennial, and we're back to live in obscurity.
Yep, there you go.
Harass the internet, I guess. That being said, let's roll our intro in there and then see what we have to say about ourselves.
Hey, you guys!
Okay, Jason, what were you up to this week?
Played that new game with you, Guns of Icarus.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
I quite enjoy it, and they had this really cheap pack, this really cheap sale. They did this big push where the devs were playing games with a bunch of popular people online to get people attracted to it. Then they had this huge sale, and I jumped in on the sale because it was ridiculously cheap. The game is normally like $15-20, and they had it for like $3 something, like $3.45, and then you could get it for like $7 something. If you paid $7 something, you get like 4 of them, which was a ridiculous deal.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, crap. That's the price of 2, and I basically get 4, and I could force Jason to play with me.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and grabbed a hold of it, and we played some.
It is rather interesting in a few aspects. One of the first ones is that there's no real way you can play it just by yourself.
No, not at all. Well, you theoretically could do it, but you would have to fly, and everybody else would be bots on your ship.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could, but at the same time, you really can't. Guns of Icarus is rather interesting in the way that it approaches things. You have an airship, and you're in these air battles with other airships. And I don't mean planes, I mean dirigibles.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Think
this
steampunk.
Giant. Oh yeah, very steampunk-ish.
But anyway, you have 3 roles that you fulfill. You have a pilot, you have an engineer, and you have a gunner. Now, what we found that works pretty well is to have, and there's 4 slots on your ship. So you have one guy that's going to be the pilot, and he's going to be directing you where you're going to go and stuff. Then you have the engineer that runs around and fixes stuff in battle. So you're getting shot at by your enemy, and you're running around trying to put out fires and keep the thing flying. And then you have the gunner who's trying to take everybody else down. Obviously, you can have 1 pilot and 3 gunners, or whatever mix you want it to be. But each of them has their own role and their own specialty. Like an engineer fixes things faster. A gunner can still fix things, but the engineer is better at it.
Well, you have the ability to sprint, and you can equip up to 3. Wait, is it 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's 3.
It's 3 engineer items, whereas if you play as a gunner, you can only equip 1 engineer item.
Right. And then obviously the gunner, he has a wider array of he can equip, as Rhett was saying, with the engineer, he has 3 engineering items that he can equip. There are multiple engineering items, but you equip 3 of them. With the gunner has access to various types of ammunition, and he selects 3 of them. And then the pilot has pilot items, so he can create a smoke screen. I forget what the other ones were for pilot. I didn't play pilot very long. I played mostly the gunner and the engineer. It was kind of funny. In one of the battles that we were flying in, we were piloting. Rhett was piloting the ship, and we had like 2 other engineers jump on board, and I was fulfilling the engineer role. And so Rhett suggested that I switch over to gunner to get a feel for that. So I switched over to gunner, and we're flying around, and I think the other ship must have been using incendiary ammunition because the gun I was using started on fire, and I could not do anything about it.
Or you just watch it burn.
Yeah. It's burning in front of me. I was actually still using it while it was on fire.
Well, you can use it until it gets to a certain amount of damage, and you just have to get off.
Right. And so we actually blew up the other ship. It went down in flames. And I turned on the chat, and I said, can somebody come and put out my gun? One of the other engineers came up with a fire extinguisher and helped me out. But I had access to a wrench so I could fix the gun when it got damaged, but I couldn't do anything about it being on fire. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Other than that, I picked up a copy of the Monster Manual 2 for 3rd edition D&D.
Oh,
I was
nice.
flipping through that, so I've been flipping through some of my D&D manuals and stuff. Watching, what was I watching before? I don't even remember now. Been watching some British cop shows, and it's one of those things. I was thinking about it earlier. I don't actually want to visit England, but I like their television programs.
I wouldn't mind visiting England, but it'd be more for historical stuff. I don't have a huge connection to the culture.
Right.
That being said, though, oddly enough, I'm like a quarter English, so
yeah, same here.
I'm more interested in like Swiss or Swedish culture, which are other parts of me.
Well, the thing is I say I don't want to visit England, but if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, would you like to go to England?" It's like, I wouldn't say no, but it's like if somebody said, where would you go for your dream vacation, or is England on your list of places you want to visit before you die? Not really. But if I had the opportunity to go there, yeah, no problem, I'd go there. My wife has been there. She enjoyed it. We have a neighbor who's from England, and just hearing her talk about some of the stuff that she grew up with and everything. It's not that I would go out of my way to visit there, but if it came up, yeah, I'd go there. But I do like their television shows. Well, not all of them, but some. Anyway.
They have some entertaining shows. They have the habit of only running like a couple seasons or forever.
It's like what Ricky Gervais said in what was it, the Emmys that he was doing?
Right.
Where he's like, quality over quantity. And of course he got the throat slitting motion from Steve Carell.
Yeah. I played a bunch of Guns of Icarus, which I've been having a lot of fun with, and like Jason said, it's an entertaining game. And imagine yourself, you're basically having the big ship battles.
Yeah, you can think of it in terms of you're having it's like they're airships, but think about ship battles. Like I equated it to like piracy, where you're having these ships and you're going around firing at the other ships and stuff.
But it's basically giant ship battles, if you can imagine, and the captain's the only one that actually really has very good view, the pilot. So when crap starts happening, it's usually helpful for him to start calling things out. So there's usually a lot of in-game chat going on.
Right.
As stuff is happening. Jason played the engineer and got pretty used to it. I've been playing a lot of it. I've been trying to upgrade or level up my gunner, which everybody seems to want to be, but you get in a game where you can play a lot of gunner stuff, you stick around. So I play a lot of that.
The gunner, I did enjoy, I think, gunner more than the other roles that I played. maybe if I played... I played the engineer more than I played gunner, but I did like being able to switch between the various ammos and see what the effects was and stand at the gun and not have to worry about the ship going down around me. That was somebody else's job.
Yeah, the engineer stuff isn't too bad. I find it kind of relaxing. You don't even pay attention to what's happening around you. You just bump between things to repair. You don't even look at what's going on, who's shooting what. You just repair things.
Repair it.
And you just run back and forth and repair things. Other than that, I watched some Dexter, which I've never seen before.
I've heard of it.
The show is okay. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The
premise of the show never made me want to actually watch it.
Neither did I, but Lindsay was really into it, so I tried it out. That's a lot of my gaming week, really. Guns of Icarus. I played some Bloodborne. I'm slowly hashing through the Chalice dungeons. The problem is I run into a boss that I'm just not used to. And I can't beat the stupid guy, and he's really aggressive and he gets in your face all the time and stuff. And so I went online to figure out how people are actually beating this guy, because I just couldn't figure it out. He's just ridiculously hard. And apparently online, the strategy for beating him is laming it out and throwing every long-range thing you can at him.
So basically you stand back and pelt him from the...
Yeah, I was like, okay, so every elite strategy online is to lame it out. They're like, max out your... Because you can only carry 10 throwing knives, and then 10 throwing knives that are poison, and then you can only have so many bullets, and only so many of these. And they're like, okay, just carry everything that you can, and spend the whole time just running away from him and throwing stuff. I was like, how is that an elite strategy for beating this? And I legit tried to fight him, and there's a lot of problems with that guy, mainly because you can't move around him very much, and he's got a lot of health. So a lot of it is sort of like he doesn't goad very well either. You can't goad him into doing something and then return. So you sort of have to hit him, run away, wait for an opportunity, hit him, run away. And even then, there's a small percentage of a chance where he'll throw something weird. And he's really hard to predict. Well, he's just hard to predict. He's hard to read. And he has a huge plethora of moves that are really hard to counter. So it's the thing. I spent a lot of time dying against that guy until I finally looked up a guide, and they're like, "Oh, well, just do this." And I was like, "Really?" Apparently, just do this or whatever. But nice. Yeah, other than that was pretty much my week. I've been trying to hit the treadmill some, mainly just push-ups lately. Last week I hit the treadmill super hard, and then I weighed myself, and I had like gained 3-4 pounds, and I was like, am I just gaining muscle at this point? It really upsets you, especially when you work out like crazy, because I must have just been gaining muscle because I was eating less, and I was like jogging for like an hour and a half. Well, I was jogging for like an hour and a half every day. I must have gained weight, either that or I'm sleep eating ice cream or something.
There you go. No,
but
okay, so I mentioned before that I was watching the show Better Off Ted,
right?
And I find that show hilarious. Anyway, Ted's boss.
So does Lindsay. She kind of made me watch an episode of it. That's all right.
Ted's boss is Veronica. So you've seen an episode. You know which one's Veronica, right?
Yeah, I think I've seen 2 total, but yeah.
Okay, so Veronica, in one episode, she admits to Linda, the other blonde, that she used to feed her sister in her sleep so that she wouldn't be skinnier than her. Uh-huh. And then her grandmother dies her grandmother died in that episode. And her sister comes to town for the funeral. And she calls up Linda at like 3:00 in the morning because she finds this. She turns Linda into like her priest, and she calls her up with all the dirty secrets that she has carried, so she can unburden herself of the guilt. So she calls her up at 3:00 in the morning, and it shows her sister sleeping on at her house, and she's sitting there next to the bed feeding her food.
Huh.
Your sister's probably doing that.
If she is, she better do it while I'm alive, because if I'm going to gain the weight, I'd like to enjoy the taste. Me and Lindsay actually went out Tuesday to try and go see Mad Max. And we got there like 5 minutes before it was going to start and got to go buy our tickets, and the only like seats available were the front row, and we didn't find it worth it to see it. So I'm really bummed out, and I still really want to see Mad Max, but I guess we're just going to have to wait on till we see that stupid movie. Of all the movies I wanted to see this summer, was Mad Max. It wasn't Avengers. It wasn't whatever other garbage movies coming out. It was Mad Max. But hopefully I'll be able to sneak in and see it this next week. So
just have to go a little sooner, I guess.
Well, we sort of planned it badly. We went and did some other stuff that took some time, and then when we finally got out, it was like, well, let's go. And we got there with like we were like 5 minutes after the movie was supposed to start. And it's like, well, we'll miss the previews, and we rushed up, and the place was just ridiculously packed, and we're all, well, let's hope this is all Age of Ultron people, and nope, it was Mad Max people.
Figures.
It's stupid. Anyway, Chance did send us an email.
He did.
I talked to him today, and he's having just the worst day ever. So hopefully the email is fairly entertaining, and we'll put that, we'll sneak that jingle in there and hear what he has to say for himself.
And now it's time for the Distracted Gamers Podcast listener emails, where Dr. Jason will paraphrase, eviscerate, and with surgical precision, remove all salient points from your feedback, leaving you sounding like a barely literate baboon.
Alright, go for it, Jason.
Okay, so he blames me for screwing up the rotation this week, and, you know, it is my fault. So, this month is so bad for weekends for me. This weekend, it's my nephew who's getting married, and so we're going to the wedding tomorrow, and it's out of town, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah, well, the thing is that it actually worked out better for him, too. Because tomorrow night, he's going to the Hailstorm concert. So he's not even going to be there to send us an email if we were doing this tomorrow. So.
Oh, well, go figure.
Yeah. So he says, even though I'm depressed, angry, and incredibly sleep deprived, evidently he's only had 3 hours of sleep, he's giving us this email because, he's going to see the Pretty Reckless in Hailstorm. So, and he says, I love you guys, but if the choice is writing an email to the show or seeing Lizzie hail, well, you know your place.
Hey, you already fought her and died.
Yeah. And he actually mentions that, so we'll get down to that later. So he says that, and I guess this is the reason that he's been having a really bad week. He got a major chewing out from his boss yesterday.
So he told me.
Yeah. Evidently, he just took their department apart and just called, he calls it a major butt chewing. And so this is what I don't understand. He's like, I try not to hate people, but I really hate my new boss. He's an egotistical piece of crap. The funny thing is, everything he hated, the freaking head of our corporate furniture business loved when she came in last week. So this doesn't make sense to me. What is he freaking out about? The corporate head of the furniture division shows up and says, your department's awesome. And he has the gall to go, you guys suck. This is so what I hate about bosses. It's like this guy has to be so petty that he has to basically prove that he is the guy in charge and it's not some corporate female, whatever. It's me. It's the buck stops here. Or a bunch of crap. So anyway, he says, I decided today I am done with retail. So he's looking for a new job. I don't think he's left this job yet. So he says, I'm looking to pick up some IT certifications, and he's going to try to move into that area. His father-in-law's IT, his brother-in-law's in IT, so he's going to try to do that. I guess he puts it that in the current department that he's in, it requires a different kind of guy than he is. He says that you need to branch out and network with the local designers and property managers, and he says he's not a schmoozer. I don't get chummy with people. He says, I'm not the right guy for my job and never have been. He actually says that he's about as socially inclined as you. And
I'm worse, but I understand.
Yeah. The thing is that we talk about this on the podcast and stuff, and I don't think it really comes out, but I would be worse than he is at his job. I don't like fraternizing with people.
You'd suck it up. I'm worse, but yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, he loved episode 100. He said it was masterfully executed. Here's hoping you guys finally break out and the show catches fire. I look forward to hundreds more episodes from you clowns. So,
nice.
I laughed my butt off at your chance bracket.
I found it entertaining.
I thought it was great. It was so
well.
much
Chance
fun.
actually sent me a text message while he was listening to it, and it was something like, "Man, I'm honored. Truly, I am. I love the new bracket." And then, like 5 minutes later, he goes, "You turd!" Like we had gone a little bit too far, and it was just
Well, he says, for the record, I'd totally have kicked Abe Lincoln's butt. One punch and you would be out.
No way! That guy could wrestle.
He says, we know the man couldn't take a shot to the head.
We don't know that. Plus, with his beard, it's kind of cushion. It's the back of the head, by the way.
Yeah, you'd have to get behind him, and I don't think he's going for that. He says right now, so he's working on the DGP throwdown bracket of certain doom.
Yeah, Chance immediately had the, I'm going to have to get you back. And I was like, I expect it. This is Chance. It's all about revenge for him.
Right now I'm choosing the cast of foes, and they are as random as they are deadly, I assure you. So I think Lindsay was most vocal she's ever been on the episode, and he enjoyed what she had to say. He says, even if she thinks wanting to be naked with Scarlett Johansson is somehow immoral.
I don't want to be naked with her either. So
it's a normal dangry action, woman. That's what he said. He
apparently Lindsay had some strong opinions about Age of Ultron.
Okay.
And apparently she was talking to her brother about it, and he was like, "Oh well, you only dislike it." He basically told her that her opinions are all wrong, and she only dislikes it because it's basically my opinion. And I was like, No. I've not one opinion I've ever had have I ever forced her to have, and we actually disagree on actually liking stuff frequently. And she didn't seem. She probably summed the movie up best, better than I did, where it was basically just a fun movie. It wasn't brilliant, it wasn't inspiring, but it was fun.
Yeah. So he says, "Screw you for dissing his goatee." He feels
I had to think of something to diss. You actually seem like you manicure it well, but what do you want from me?
Well, he says it is magnificent, and he accuses you of jealousy. So,
if I could grow a goatee, I would. I grow like patchy. It's weird. The facial hair I grow is thick, and it's like tough facial hair, but it's not dense, and it's actually somewhat patchy. So it makes me look like, I don't know, just really, those Hispanic kids that grow facial hair.
No. Facial hair not grow in.
No, those Hispanic kids that grow facial hair that when it looks really bad, like you shouldn't be. That's not even a mustache. It's like a really anorexic caterpillar trying to crawl across your face. That's basically me most of the time when it comes to facial hair.
I can do it. I just hate the way it feels.
Well, it itches a lot, and I always thought that if it got long enough and thick enough, it wouldn't be so much of an issue. It probably wouldn't itch or bother me. But I never let it grow out that long anymore. I had a goatee for a bit, and just maintaining it was bugging me.
I can grow a pretty nice goatee. the thing is that I can't do the full beard. I have these two spots between my sideburns and the rest of my facial hair that are completely bald, so they don't actually meet up.
They don't sync up between the two?
Yeah. So anyway, he watched the season finale of The Flash. He says that it's a great show. It's easy to pick apart, but he feels that it's light and doesn't take itself too seriously. So he feels it's entertaining. He was waiting for season 2 with bated breath because they've teased that Jay Garrick and Hawk Girl will be in there. So. And possibly Green Lantern.
I saw a chance to just be pissing his pants for that. I saw
he
an
actually
article
blames that on me.
I saw an article on Kotaku where they were talking about the new, or at least the finale of The Flash, and the guy was like, the finale of The Flash makes us out is not only the best ending of everything, but it makes The Flash out to be the best superhero show ever made. And he said it was better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., better than Arrow, better than the Superman shows that are out. He said it was better than Daredevil, and I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. Daredevil's finale might not have been exciting, maybe, as The Flash's ending, but I guarantee you Daredevil was better. I don't even have to see The Flash to be like, I guarantee you it was better.
It was
I've seen like one episode, and The Flash just, at least maybe it was the episode I saw, to be fair, but The Flash was just like, eh.
Let's see. So he beat Mafia 2 on 360. I guess it was the freebie for this month.
Yeah, he was telling me he was really excited about playing that. He quite enjoyed it.
It's impressively immersive, and it's not an original story, but it was compelling, and you grew to like the characters and care about them to a certain degree. So then he says, now here's where Rhett tells us he's been playing Bloodborne again for the 100th time.
I haven't been playing it a heck of a lot. Me and Lindsay had a few matches of Nidhogg because it was really cheap on PlayStation Network. So we both got Nidhogg. Well, she got it because she knew how much I enjoyed it, and then I sort of was forced to buy it again for another platform. So we both played it separately, and then we finally played a bunch of matches together, and I would sort of explain things. The problem with Lindsay is she's really competitive. And so I'd be like, okay, let me explain a few things, and then she'd kill me. I was like, hold on a minute, I'm trying to, and then she'd kill me. I was like, oh, okay, apparently this is that sort of game. You're not going to allow me to actually talk to you. So it ends up being this sort of like desperate thing. The thing is, I've played it before, and my experience won out the day. And I kept beating her, and she would get more and more frustrated. And I remember one special moment where I had thrown my sword at her head and killed her, and took off. No, I had my sword and I had killed her somehow, and she had lost hers. And I took off running, and she was chasing after me, slowly gaining on me because she didn't have her sword.
Right, because she's lighter and you can run faster with that sword.
Right. And I recall to this day the sort of horrifying, like, genuine fury on her voice of trying to kill me as she's chasing me across the map, and she says something to the effect of like, I will chase you down. And I was like, oh my god. Well, it was genuine fury, and I was like, oh my gosh, Lindsay, get away from me. Because it was one of those things where I wish we were streaming. And we should have been, like, she thought we were streaming, but we hadn't been, because I was trying to, like, start out and explain it, and then she got so into it, I never bothered to turn on the stream.
That's too bad.
But
that is a weird game.
It's enjoyable. It's very good play style. The gameplay is really good. It's just basic. It's more like 8-bit graphics.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
But it's just a goofy game. They need to expand upon it. They needed to add to that game more than they have, make it more than it is. But instead, they're just like, well, we have a good game, and it's really good, so we'll put it out there, and nobody will care after that. They needed to add more maps. They needed to add maybe in a different weapon or something.
Yeah. What I thought, the premise behind it is so funny. You know, the whole thing about you being, you just wanting to sacrifice yourself and throw yourself into to be devoured by the Nidhogg serpent.
It's quite a fun game, and I think perhaps what works for it the best is simplicity.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Anyway, is that it from Chance?
That is it from Chance. Evidently, he needs to get back to work so he doesn't get chewed out by his boss again, and so he doesn't have anything on the hashtag this week. So
nice. That being said, we do have a lot of news that we can roll into for the news dump. Lindsay's favorite jingle. Let's roll it in now.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
All right, everybody, we have got a lot of news to cover, and we're going to go through it as quickly as we possibly can. Okay, where do we start? First of all, Sony PlayStation E3 experience. So if you call last year, Sony streamed their E3 experience. They announced today via its PlayStation blog that it'll be working with gaming personality Jeff Keighley to live stream its June 15 E3 Expo press conference, the PlayStation E3 press conference, to 75 movie theaters in the United States and Canada.
Wow.
Not that everybody can't stream on their computer nowadays, but I think it'd probably be somewhat entertaining to sit in a theater and watch it. Whether or not it's worth $6-7 is a whole nother thing, because I wouldn't pay $6-7, but I would stream it for free. And if they're just going to air it at theaters and charge like $3, I would go. Any more, I mean $4 maybe, but any more than that would be too much for me to actually go see it at a theater. But it's a novel idea to stream it into a theater.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, let me read this. Microsoft says that the digital store it is deploying with Windows 10, Windows 10 phones and devices, and Xbox platforms isn't trying to cut into Steam's business, even though it's kind of trying to cut into Steam's business. GamesBeat, who is in attendance at the recent Casual Connect Asia in Singapore, has the dirty little news of Microsoft's digital storefront plans. Steam's done a great job in the PC gaming space over the last 10 years. We absolutely love Steam. We're not looking to directly compete with them, but we're looking to give developers the opportunity to sell their games on another storefront and take advantage of some of our awesome payment options like mobile operator billing and more local options. This sounds like a competition thing. I don't really care. I think competition's good. Steam's been doing it really well, but they've also been sucking it up recently with some of this, the pay mods and that sort of thing.
Right.
Did you hear about Microsoft's thing about Windows 10 being the last operating system they ever make?
Really?
Yeah. They literally announced that Windows 10 will be the last operating system they ever make. And from now on, whenever they do anything, it'll only just be upgrades or big additions to Windows 10. They won't actually move beyond Windows 10.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what to tell you, but that's what they said.
Huh.
Go figure. I don't care about that story. Moving on. Riot Games begins testing new League of Legends player reform system. Announces initial testing on a new automated instant player reform system for its popular MOBA game, League of Legends. The new instant feedback system delivers actionable feedback and appropriate punishment to players who are being verbally abusive in-game. The system's initiative tests kick off today in North America and takes aim at verbal harassment. The system uses reform cards, notifications that link evidence of negative behavior with the appropriate punishment that motivates players to address their negative behavior quickly. Abusive language could include homophobia, racism, sexism, death threats, and other forms of excessive abuse. These types of communications will be punished with 2-week or permanent bans within 15 minutes of the game's end.
Wow.
Riot lays out how it works. The problem is, to be able to petition to fix those sorts of things means that Riot is going to have a lot of staff just to deal with this.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, the thing... I don't know that this is actually going to work very well.
You can never eliminate 100%, but you could just go, look, this guy's had 50 complaints, let's ban him for life.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really easy.
And then he gets a new account and comes back on and doing it again. The thing is that if they really cared, they wouldn't do it. But I just don't see it working out the way they think it's going to. Because I see this also being used as a punishment. I mean, right now people are being like, are calling swatting on people who they don't like. I can see this going exactly the same way. You don't like some guy because he just beat you in League of Legends, report him. He'll get banned for 2 weeks. Yeah, I just don't know.
I don't know. You could have a lot of people just go after somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know how their system is. It explains some sort of card thing, but honestly, it's just whatever. Whatever.
And if they get banned, how many people just open up new accounts or have multiple accounts, and they'll just go into a different one. So.
I don't know. Well, when it comes to like inappropriate screen names, you can report people, and then they could go back and look at the screen name and be like,
yeah, like that one we reported.
Yeah, this guy had a screen name. It was a kid actually. Just it sounded like he was 12, and his screen name was Niger Sucks. Niger, and I guarantee you it was only one G because he knew he could get away with that out of the filter that they have in name creation.
Yeah.
But I was like, and somebody legit in the room, in the lobby, was like, yeah, that name offends me. And everyone's like, what name? Like, really?
There's one name on the list that's offensive, and you're wondering which one it is?
It's,
And so Rhett, being the captain of the ship, reports the name. It was awesome.
Yeah, there was a guy.
Somebody else, I think, reported it too.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure.
There's a guy named Big Papa Pump.
Yeah. Well,
it's a wrestling reference. Jason wouldn't understand. Scott Steiner had the name of Big Papa Pump. He had the weirdest looking bicep whenever he would flex it.
Uh-huh.
If you Google it while I go to the next news story, it looks quite funny, and that's why I had the big name Big Papa Pump. Take-Two sues BBC over Grand Theft Auto movie. The BBC movie about the making of Grand Theft Auto has just run into a mountain-sized obstacle at Take-Two Interactive. The publisher of the series and owner of Rockstar Games is suing the BBC over its upcoming film based on the book, Jacked, the Outlaw Story of Grand Theft Auto. It's an unauthorized biography, but I don't see how this grants people suing him.
I don't know.
Did you look at the picture?
Yeah, he's a funky-looking dude.
Well, you see his, is he flexing his bicep?
Oh, yeah.
It's a weird-looking bicep, I could tell you that.
Yeah, it's got, like, it almost looks herniated or something. Like it shouldn't be that way. Like he should get surgery to fix it.
Maybe, but it definitely looks odd. And
oh, yeah.
It's the left arm. You see it?
Uh-huh.
Where it just pops out in a weird, odd... Scott Steiner. Back in the day. WCW when they used to dominate. Moving on. League of Legends... Here's an entertaining story. I've seen it in multiple places, so I'll read this one, and if there's more from the Kotaku article, I'll look at that. Okay. A British Columbia, Canada teen and League of Legends player has pled guilty to 23 different charges related to online stalking, hacking, and swatting incidents in the United States and Canada, according to Tricity News. A 17-year-old male who can't be identified due to his age pled guilty last week to 23 counts of extortion, public mischief, and criminal harassment. Details of 17-year-old's campaign of terror were laid out last week by Crown Prosecutor Michael Bauer during a sentencing hearing at the Port Coquitlam Provincial Court. According to Bauer, the teen targeted female gamers and their parents in British Columbia, Minnesota, Utah, Arizona, Ohio, California, beginning in 2014. According to what Bauer told the court, the teen would often target fellow League of Legends players and their families when they denied friend requests or he felt slighted by them over some minor offense. He would retaliate, according to Bauer, by shutting down their internet access, posting their personal information online, calling them late at night, or calling the police to call in an imaginary emergency situation. Bauer laid out a number of incidents, but spent the bulk of his address to the court on one person the teen targeted multiple times, a young woman from Tucson, Arizona, who rejected him. On September 16, 2014, after the target rejected him multiple times, he called the Tucson police claiming that he had shot his parents with an AR-15, had bombs rigged in the area, and would kill the police if he saw them. On September 21st, he did it again on the same target's home and later made a call to the police in Phoenix to target her parents' home as well. The teen would later get on Twitter claiming responsibility for the incidents in Arizona, according to Bauer. This is just a scumbag.
Yep.
Right here. And it goes on explaining a bunch of the stuff he had done. Posted 8-hour live stream of himself tormenting and swatting victims. According to the prosecutor, it was at this point the viewers on the stream began calling police, which ultimately led to the teen's arrest. During that stream, the teen tried to swat a home in Grove City, Ohio, telling local police that he was a retired FBI agent holding 5 people hostage with an AR-15 rifle and had planted bombs around the home. He demanded $20,000 ransom. In Minnesota, parents of another victim claimed the teen released personal details online, resulting in people across the U.S. trying to open up lines of credit and bank accounts in their names. They claim this ultimately ruined their credit rating. Man, this is a scumbag. In Utah, the teen holding a police dispatcher told a police dispatcher that he was at his ex-girlfriend's home and had her family tied up. The police chief went to the target residence to find the family eating dinner. The teen tried targeting the same location again, which ultimately led Coquitlam RCMP to his doorstep. The teen also admitted to police that he called in a bomb threat to the Space Mountain ride in Disneyland 2 times last year. This is just a piece of crap. He deserves like 9 years.
Seriously.
If not more. Like, there have to be serious consequences to stupidity.
Screw the whole he's a minor. They need to prosecute him as an adult.
No, at 17, with the amount of things he had done, you put him away. You put him away for a while, and then you make him think about the stupid crap that he's pulled.
Exactly.
I guarantee you, there are a lot of crappy kids out there, and if they knew how to do half of this stuff, they would be doing it. It's this kid's getting away with it, and he's as crappy as the rest of them.
Well, not really getting away with it, because now he's in jail for it. So.
Well, yeah, but he got away with it for a long time before somebody caught him. It wasn't until he started freaking streaming while he was swatting people. That's when it went too far. Like, when enough people were like, yeah, let's track this stupid kid down.
Yeah, this is... Yeah. Seriously, are you that stupid that you stream yourself doing illegal things?
Well, that's the thing about the internet, is the anonymity. You think you can get away with it because nobody knows who you are, and it just escalates because you think you can get away with more and more and more until it gets to the point where it's just too far.
Right.
Let's move on this story. EU member states try to kill off net neutrality protections. French rights group La Quadrature du Net, whatever it means, is claiming that it has obtained a leaked copy of a non-paper on net neutrality written by the presidency of the Council of the EU that basically guts net neutrality protections in the European Union. It also delays or waters down previous proposals that would have abolished mobile roaming charges in the European Union. Further claims that the heavily edited document removes any reference to net neutrality, removes language about protecting against throttling and other protective language. The organization's posits say that these changes show that the EU Council has no interest in protecting net neutrality style rules. I mean, I don't live in the EU, and if that's a concern for them, then fine. I always had huge issues with net neutrality and how it was done, and I don't think the government has any business being involved in any of this stuff. But if popular opinion sways against it, then fine. But the European Union is one of those organizations I would have never advocated for, mainly because the European Union is so large that the Union itself can impose restrictions and rules upon member states that have no interest in being a part of it.
Right.
This is what happens when you have large governmental organizations, which is why in the United States we still have individual states, and as much as states' rights have been shrinking, I'm in favor hugely of states' rights. Whatever controversial decision you believe in, whether or not it's marijuana or gay marriage or whatever, the fact that they do it separately, state by state, where gay marriage is illegal in some states and not legal in others, marijuana is legal in some states and not legal in others, that, in my opinion, is how it should be. The people who live in that state should say whether or not they like it. And people that do things in Colorado have the right to live the way that they want to, but they don't have a right to impose how they live on people that live in, like, South Dakota.
Right.
And that's my problem with the EU as far as net neutrality stuff. When we passed net neutrality, it had no effect on the rest of the world. So I don't know what the European Union's net neutrality rules are like right now, and I don't know what they're trying to change. But apparently there's a big issue because somebody leaked this thing about it.
I wonder if they're trying net neutrality because we were doing it. Yeah,
I don't know. Let's jump ahead. Bandai Namco celebrates 35 years of Pac-Man. May 22nd, which is tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, May 22nd. Happy birthday, Pac-Man. Namco Bandai, 35 years ago, incidentally.
Nice.
Apparently a French billionaire is eyeing a purchase of Time Warner Cable. The deal, according to Reuters and VentureBeat reports, French billionaire that most in the United States have never heard of may have designs on acquiring one of the country's biggest broadband cable providers. Time Warner Cable billionaire Patrick Drahi owns Altice, who announced today that has acquired Suddenlink, America's 7th largest cable company. The deal costs Altice an estimated $9.1 billion. We'll see where this goes. I don't know. This might be like a cross-country, how do you say, monopoly. Uh-huh. But as long as it's not a monopoly within this country, and we allow for competition, then I'm a fan of it.
Right.
Moving on. They already monopolize a huge section of the country anyway.
Right.
It's just they would have been bigger and more of the country. It's not like there's a competition between them and Comcast because they basically have sectioned off their territory and they don't compete with each other.
Right.
So it is effectively a monopoly right now anyway. So they really should just chop those up.
Exactly.
Moving on.
Any time you can get more competition in there, it's going to benefit us rather than them. So
definitely.
And it's always us against them, people. Don't pretend it's otherwise.
GameSpot Game Guide and Delta Force Extreme 2 Video Game Guide were two items found at Osama bin Laden's compound. According to the report, let's see, two game-related books are mentioned in the Kotaku story as well as official emphasize that the items listed may not have been bin Laden's and were likely used by others within the compound. Delta Force Extreme 2 Video Game Guide. They could have just bought that in order to understand Delta Force. Clearly it didn't work because the Delta Force literally took them out.
Right.
Well, it wasn't Delta Force, it was SEAL Team, but anyway. Same tactics, I would argue.
It's the whole, what do you call that? Elite squad, yeah, so.
Yeah, I guarantee you they've used similar tactics. Microsoft offers cord cutters, the Hauppauge, I don't know how to pronounce that, digital TV tuner for the Xbox One. So you can, I guess, subscribe to digital TV. The device supports Sling TV, HBO Go, Netflix, Comedy Central, and Hulu Plus, as well as cable TV and satellite TV integrations. Device for the company best known for its related streaming, blah, blah, blah. Network available. So just something you literally just plug in to your TV, and you can use a lot of that stuff on your TV, as opposed to just buying an Xbox. You could stream Netflix through this little device, which is clever, I think.
And you plug it into your Xbox?
No, you don't need the Xbox because it already streams Hulu Plus and Netflix and Comedy Central. This is actually just a small device you plug into your TV made by Xbox One to stream those without owning an Xbox One. Incidentally. Daybreak Games Company bans nearly 25,000 H1Z1 players for cheating and hacking. Huge group of people. Now, I actually read a separate article about this, but I'll read the summation here. Smedley, the company president, offered players who publicly and sincerely apologized in a video apology on YouTube a second chance at getting their accounts back and playing the game again. First of all, apology videos can be seen online. It's basically public shaming, and he says if we ban 30,000 and unban 20 for making videos that are seen by a lot of people and they apologize, I'll take it. Trust me, these guys get special logging on, get extra special logging on every move they make, etc. Anyway, the bans were huge. The one guy was sincerely apologetic about it. He's like, I spent $200 on this. I bought all the expansions, all the extra stuff. And admittedly, I was using cheating things. And I'm really sorry, but I want to actually play the game that I paid for. And he made a video, and you can actually see it, apparently. The one thing he said is he isn't demanding that people put any personal information like names or addresses. He's like, just put a video of yourself up there. You don't have to put anything else. And then just apparently he wants them to email the video to some email, and then they'll check each of them out.
Huh. It's interesting what some people will do. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting plan if someone is willing enough to apologize in video form. I think they're genuinely apologetic and they want to actually play the game.
Well, you'd hope so.
So, some leaked pictures of the new World of Warcraft movie, or at least some of the characters from it, have been seen online. An interesting story hit the internet recently where the infamous Leroy Jenkins, if you guys remember from past World of Warcraft videos, some videos guys post online of the guy ruining a raid that they were doing.
Awesome.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently he has a small part in the original World of Warcraft movie script. You remember good old Leroy Jenkins, blah, blah, blah.
Just to go along with that, that whole Leroy Jenkins thing has been spoofed in other media. I was watching, and I've talked to you about Phineas and Ferb before. They actually used that in a Phineas and Ferb episode, where one of the characters, Buford, they're planning this raid to rescue somebody, and the one guy, Phineas, is trying to tell everybody, okay, you do this, you do that, and Buford runs in screaming Buford Van Stom at the top of his lungs.
Well, they actually show images of the script, the original script that was in there that apparently isn't a part of the movie anymore. But the writer puts in apparently sent a tweet with pictures of the original parts of the script, and he said Leroy Jenkins was actually in my original draft of the Warcraft movie, and he said yes, he actually ran into battle too early. Whether or not he got everybody else killed would have been even more amusing.
That's funny.
Shooting right along, trying to get this done in time. Apparently there was this big hullabaloo over the Patriot Act recently and the desire to try and ban it. Well, not ban it, but get rid of a lot of the stuff in the Patriot Act. And apparently some of it is good on our end. I'll have to look at it in closer, but apparently the Senate was unable to pass some of the stuff, and we might actually see the loss of mass data collection on some things. Rand Paul actually had this 11-hour filibuster to try and stop the Patriot Act from being passed. So yeah. Moving on.
The original Patriot Act when it went through, or these changes, he was trying to stop them?
These changes. Well, no, none of the changes. The Patriot Act just keeps getting repassed every year. They keep getting new extensions, and they try to get another new extension. And apparently, there's a lot of effort to try and add changes to it, to remove stuff or even not pass it entirely. And he started a big filibuster when they tried to have the vote to just renew it again.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
There you go.
I was trying to figure out if you meant he had tried to filibuster the original one or what it was. So, yeah.
Why would you do that now?
Well, I thought you may have been referring back to when it was first passed.
That's not a story anymore.
Hey, you like history? I thought you might have been bringing it up for color.
It's like, news today, everybody, the Lusitania was sunk.
See? You know stuff about that.
Starting World War II. Remember the Lusitania, everybody. That'd be World War One. I'm sorry. Appeals court chops Apple's 2012 $930 million patent case, award nearly in half. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit has stripped a large portion of the money awarded to Apple in a 2012 jury verdict against Samsung, according to the Ars Technica report. The verdict originally awarded Apple $930 million in damages for Samsung's infringement on 2 iPhone patents. Apple won on the 2 patent claims and trade dress claims, but the Federal Circuit ruled today that those trade dress claims weren't legally justified and tossed them out. Federal Circuit has kicked it back to lower courts, but Apple will lose $382 million of its damages. It's estimated ruling that the knocks his verdict down to 40%, down 40% to 548. Moving on. Despite all the hullabaloo over government surveillance, Chris Christie calls fears of government surveillance baloney. Just so everybody knows where Chris Christie sits on that issue. Moving on. In Exile plans Bard's Tale 4 Kickstarter campaign and plans on launching it for June 2nd. North Carolina sues the FCC over net neutrality changes. FCC preempted state laws that allow them to block municipal broadband operations. North Carolina joins Tennessee, who filed a similar lawsuit several months ago. North Carolina filed its last week in the U.S. Court of Appeals. Despite recognition that the state of North Carolina creates and retains control over municipal governments, the FCC unlawfully inserted itself between state and the state's political subdivisions. See, when you pass laws and you give the federal government more authority, they will actually start to step over everybody else.
Yep.
The World of Warcraft bot maker finally admits defeat with the latest round of bans. Saw 100,000 accounts get locked down. While Blizzard didn't specifically name the program, it's one of the most popular tools used by many players, and according to the program's website, it has been purchased for use with at least 200,000 World of Warcraft accounts. Nevertheless, the makers of the popular program have thrown in the towel and admitted that they have been beaten in a recent forum post by a staffer. It seems like Honor Buddy was detected. We're not sure, but looking at the ban threads, we think that it's most likely option ATM. The most likely option at the moment. We are sorry for all your lost World of Warcraft accounts. Hopefully you can use them again after the 6-month ban is lifted. I have read here on the forums a bit. A lot of the accounts were 10 years old. This is a pity. We always say do not use your valuable accounts, as the risk is always there. Some of us seem to forget the Gilder times. Anyway, apparently they're apologetic that a lot of people got banned for using their program. Apparently you have to buy it. Microsoft severely punishes testers who leaked a Gears of War remake info video, apparently. Why would they remake Gears of War? It's not like it's a time-tested game that people still need to experience in a remake. That's stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a graphical, like, boot up and it's still the same game. Why would they reboot Gears of War? Remake a remake. Stupid. Moving on. Okay, let's see. Well, there's some stupid stuff from Sony online, if you care to look that up. Apparently, in 2012, Sony closed its Liverpool studio, home of the Wipeout series, and one of its oldest and coolest game developers on the planet. Formula Fusion is a new game, already backed on Kickstarter, that is being made by a bunch of ex-Sony Liverpool devs, veterans of the Wipeout games and PlayStation console. And it looks a lot like Wipeout, so we'll see that. Formula Fusion, but if it's another Wipeout game that we're looking for in the future, that'd be great. I loved Wipeout on PlayStation 3. Wipeout HD.
Which one was that one?
The one that we played in 3D and was really hard to play.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to play that
fun.
over the internet with Vaughn, and we'd have big versus matches.
That one was a lot of fun.
I'd have to say. Shuhei Yoshida tweeted out that they are making DLC for Bloodborne, so everybody can freak out for the next while. Who's the creator of Castlevania? Vania. I forget his name.
Oh, I should know that.
Igarashi. Koji Igarashi, the creator of Castlevania, had left Konami and moved on. Well, there's a long story about what had happened with him. He was doing really great with Castlevania, but they kept pushing him off to the side. And then they made him only make Castlevania games for like the Game Boy. And he was making Castlevania games for like, Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance and stuff, and they were pretty good games. Despite doing that for a while, they eventually moved him to mobile games and had him making like really crappy mobile games. Had nothing to do with Castlevania,
right? Which
he created. Castlevania is a great game. Guys like Hideo Kojima worked on Castlevania, and Castlevania was fantastic. So he finally left Konami, despite the fact Konami has had a heavy hand in a lot of stuff in the past, especially with Kojima. The Castlevania creator finally decided he was going to sit down and make another Castlevania game that he calls Bloodstained, and he started up this new Kickstarter. Okay. And it got funded in like half a day. It was something ridiculous. People really want another Castlevania game, and he really wants to make one, and Kickstarter just got flooded with money, so we will probably see... It's not a Castlevania game, but it'll be Castlevania, basically. It just won't have the same, like, Dracula, guy with whip sort of thing. But Bloodstain will be coming, and I'm super excited to see how this turns out.
Well, that's one of the things. Obviously, Konami, you're saying? Yeah. Konami owns Castlevania, so he can't do that. But no one can stop him from making a Castlevania type game.
He can even make a Dracula type game.
Right.
What are people going to say? You don't own the rights to Dracula. Dracula's fair use at this point. It's hundreds of years old.
Exactly.
So he could literally re-reference Dracula again. And just have Dracula back in the game again.
No problem with that.
Let's see. Here's a stupid story I found on Konami, on Kotaku. Blizzard, in the game Heroes of the Storm, if you've ever seen Heroes of the Storm, it's sort of a MOBA type game. And they have a lot of the characters from Blizzard's big franchises. And Tychus from StarCraft 2, the guy in the big armor with the big scar in his mouth.
Right.
Apparently, in the Heroes of the Storm game, they took away his cigar because they decided that it wasn't appropriate.
It wasn't family friendly enough.
Yeah, they patched it out of the game, apparently. Which is just retarded. World of Warcraft isn't doing so well. They lost some 3 million subscriptions in this last year. Apparently the forums are abuzz with people trying to talk about how to revitalize the franchise.
Is there a way to revitalize that particular franchise?
I don't think people realize this, and even the biggest big dog, like World of Warcraft, every MMO has a shelf life. And eventually people will tire of it and want the new thing. And frequently people play the big game until they move on to the next big game, but every MMO has a shelf life. Surprisingly, World of Warcraft survived longer than anybody else expected, but it will die eventually.
Well, if they keep updating it and keeping it fresh, they could keep it going, but that's
they haven't been able to recapture their heyday.
Yeah.
Their max, they haven't been able to get back to it. And with the last expansion that they did, everybody was like, oh yeah, this big thing, and then the servers couldn't handle it, and it was constantly down, and just nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody cares, just people still care. It's just the super dedicated guys that for some reason still care.
Yeah, they can't have that kind of hiccup when they're doing a new iteration of the system. It has to be smooth. When they have these hiccups, people fight it for a little while, but then they don't come back because they're like, it's just gonna be the same aggravation. They go somewhere else. They could. I think it would be very hard to do, but they could revitalize the franchise. But I think it would take some
huge change. Well, that's what they did with Cataclysm. And nobody liked Cataclysm because it changed everything. They took the original map and they shifted everything around and put new bad guys. They changed everything in the world, like, because this big thing happened, this huge dragon showed up.
Right.
So, I don't know, they'd have to do it in such a way to just redo the game so that everybody gets excited. Some people are actually trying to play the game and sort of get back to what it was originally before they changed everything in Cataclysm. But
right.
Who's to say? I'm going to leave us with one final story on the... Here's an interesting story from Sony on Twitter, which I decided I would just reference, but I'm actually going to read because this is quite humorous. So there's a Twitter page called Ask PlayStation, where you could tweet PlayStation and ask them questions.
Uh-huh.
And Mike Gonzalez tweeted, "Where is episode 3 of Life is Strange?" Because apparently he really enjoys the game Life is Strange, which is an episodic game about little teenage girls. And Ask PlayStation responded, "Life is Strange, episode 3 is up on the Steam store for purchase," and linked him to the Steam store. Yes, that's right. Ask PlayStation linked him to the Steam store to tell him that, yes, Life is Strange, episode 3 is up. Clearly, if he was asking Ask PlayStation, he wanted it for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But we'll leave you with that moment of ridiculousness. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us once again. Please share nonsense with your friends. If they want to add to the discussion, then do so, I guess.
And we'll make fun of you for it. That's not what we do. We listen to you, right? Wait.
We listen to you and then make fun of you.
There you go.
We'll hear you out and then point out the stupidity of what you just said. But we'll hear you out, no matter how stupid your comment is. Exactly. At any rate, thanks for hanging out with us. Anything you want to leave them with, Jason?
Remember, the man is not your friend.
Yeah. Don't trust the man. See you later, guys.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Distracted Gamers podcast. If you like the show, follow Rhett and Jason, the world's 2 most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast, or check them out at www.thedistractedgamers.com. If you loved or hated what you've heard here, email them at thedistractedgamers.blogspot.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason will care, since he hasn't any, of course.